And good morning. It is 17 minutes after 9 o'clock, and joining us on the phone this morning, head coach of your Eastern New Mexico University-Portales Greyhound football team, Coach Ty Hiatt, back on the phone with us. Morning, Coach. How you doing today? Oh, can you hear me, Coach? Oh, hope he's still. Can you hear me? I don't know why you can't hear me. Should be on the Arrakis here. Hold on, I'm doing a little technical thing. Coach, can you hear me okay? Oh, I don't know why I can't hear him. But, all right, I don't know why. Coach, you there? All right, what I'm going to do is going to try to call him back here in just a second. For some reason, the phone is not wanting to connect. So let's try this again. And Arrakis here. See if it starts ringing. There we go.
Hello.
Hey, Coach, can you hear me now?
I got you.
Okay, yeah. For some reason, I could hear you on the other line, but for some reason, you weren't picking me up or be able to hear me there. So now we're in business. Awesome. Well, thank you, Coach, for spending some time with us today. I know you're excited. We're less than a week away from training camp and or the off-season program of the training camp side. This is where kind of the rubber meets the road, right? Where students start putting on helmets and start actually, talking X's and O's here, right?
Oh yeah. We're 6 days away. We report next Thursday, 9 a.m. and I've got a countdown going on here in my office. It's just yeah, you're right. I mean, it's been great. We've had close to the other morning. The strength coach was telling us we had about 70 kids on campus doing their running and lifting, and we're all getting really excited.
I imagine and especially with I would imagine it's your first season here. You're gonna it's a new program, a new atmosphere, but then coming out of COVID, where we're really 2 years before we've had anything that looks like a normal season of any kind. And this is going to be the closest we've had in a couple years. So I imagine all those variables on top of just the beginning excitement of training camp anyway kind of makes this one light years probably bigger than some of the past training camps you've been a part of.
Yeah, you're exactly right, because we talked about it on Monday, at the Lone Star Media Days is, in the Lone Star Conference, almost every other team played some type of game or games or those type things other than us in Western New Mexico. So the fact that we're able to actually play for the first time, and I know I've said this before, but 18 months, because the last game that was played here at Eastern was December 7th, 2019. This is really big. This is exciting. I mean, there's a lot of people that are looking forward to it, and we know that it's going to be tough because we haven't done it 18 months. But I think everyone's really excited to attack the process and just kind of attack it one day at a time. And I can tell you, a lot of people in town in the area, they stop by. Hey, we're excited to see everything like that. They're excited for September 2nd, and I'm just sitting here trying to say, okay, well, let's just make it to August 5th, and then let's see if then we can take it one day at a time.
Now, for you, Coach, I mean, obviously you've probably watched a ton of film on these players and things, so you probably got a good sense of some of the capabilities and things. But for you, forming your game plans and everything, because of the situation, I mean, are you able, like this first part of training camp, because of the time involved? I mean, do you get to implement your systems at this point? That's at the start of camp, or is it back to fundamentals first before you can get there? Because of like for you, does that, like this year's camp, does it change the tempo and the way in which you do things just because of the environment we've coming out of here?
I don't think it changes so much from the technique and the teaching and the scheme, because those things, even with doing a couple things differently than have been done in the past, that's just part of, that's a part of the training camp. That's part of going through that process and the teaching and the learning and doing some new things. I would say probably the biggest thing that will be different for us as a coaching staff and a program is, if you look at the NFL, when they started to play last year, so they didn't have any of their, they had some modified training camps. They didn't have a ton of, OTAs, the team activities, those type of things. and there was actually a lot more injuries. And that's probably the biggest thing that our coaching staff is we're going to have a really good view on, is because, again, it goes back to, even here in the spring, the football team only had 6 practices before there was a coaching change and all those type of things going on. So when you look at it, when you lead up to a fall season, you typically had spring practices, a ton of workouts in the summer, those type of things. So your body is used to the violence and used to the contact, everything that goes with that. And I think that's probably going to be the biggest adjustment for us as coaches.
Okay.
Is that it's not going to be maybe a typical training camp where you might be in some sessions where you're doing a little bit lighter contact, just because the boys haven't had that contact, and I mean, you're talking 18 months.
Gotcha. So does that kind of shift where maybe some of those sessions would have been more scheming and more physical contact, those have turned into more conditioning type drills and skills and things to get them to that point where their body will be more season ready when September hits.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And that's the fine balance, I think, with COVID. And we're not the only team that's going to adjust to it. There's a lot of teams across the country that are going through that, because it's football. At the end of the day, whether you're throwing the ball, running the ball, whatever it is, it always comes back to who can block the best and who can tackle.
Sure.
So there's that piece of the physicality that we have to make sure that we instill with our players and the program. I think as coaches, we just want to make sure that we don't go too far extreme either way, because if you have too much contact and banging and those types of things, you could end up with a team with 30 guys that are hurt, and then you can't practice.
That's true.
But then you could also go the other way, where you don't do it enough and you show up in first game of the year and physically you're not ready to play.
Yeah, it is. That's why they pay you the big bucks, right, coach? Is you got to find that balance and say, hey, and that's where but for you, that's probably the fun part. That's the part. It's all strategy. It's all, hey, I imagine for you, that's, hey, what's what can I make? What can I do in the scheduling and the way we do things to make the greatest impact when game 1 hits here for this team? And that's the chess game. And you, I think that's if you and then the coaches can figure out the right balance, then you're going to make $1 gazillion, because that's the same thing every coach is looking for,
Right. Yeah, no, you're right. That is the really fun piece, is the strategy and those type of things that we have to do. And we actually just left the staff meeting as coaches, and we, that's all the details that go into that of how to attack it. And I think the biggest thing too as coaches, and like you and I have talked about this, is that as coaches, we always ask our players to change and adjust and adapt. And now as coaches, I think COVID has really taught us that, we could have a plan going into training camp. 3 days into it, we see, we really need to change.
Sure.
And we have to be able to adjust and change on the fly. And I truly think the teams that can do that and do it in the right way are going to be successful this fall.
Gotcha. Hey, let me ask you, since we're talking a little bit about COVID, and I always like, whenever we get in these crazy situations like this globally or anything, we deal with turmoil. I always, I think the greatest asset we have when we have these kind of things is, sometimes we figure out better ways to do things, and when circumstances are changed for us, and sometimes good things come out of these types of deals. For you as a coach and for this team, has there been lessons learned or just things that you've done, you had to do because that's what the environment dictated, and then now that we're kind of more into a free world, you're kind of like, no, this actually is a better way to do that. Have you come across any of those kind of things in this last really year and a half, just COVID stuff in general, saying, you know what, this has actually made me a better coach because now I've implemented this, or I've done, is there any of those kind of moments for you in this whole kind of COVID-laden era here?
Yeah, I definitely think one of the things that it taught us as coaches is that there's many different ways that we can still make an impact on our kids.
Yeah.
It's maybe not so much always, because typically, even before pre-COVID, you would see your kids in and out of the facility and those type of things. But I truly think with COVID, with, a lot of schools not being able to play last year, it really made you appreciate the relationships that you had with the players and the kids and their families, and you figured out ways to, have the more FaceTimes, the Zoom calls, or anything, and not even so much just about football, but just
life.
You want to see them.
Yeah.
You want to see them, and because really, and you and I have talked before. I mean, that's how organizations and programs are successful, is because of people and relationships and being able to and to have those roles. And I just think as coaches, that's one of the things that you learn through this whole thing, is that there's many different ways to communicate and reach out, but it made you appreciate the moments that you had with the kids. And I can tell you, our coaching staff, we just spoke about it. We spoke about like how excited everyone is that we're going to have kids on campus. Like, I can't tell you how many times, even talking with our new athletic director, Coach Weir, and talking with President Caldwell, and just, everyone is so excited to actually have people here on campus and working together to see things. And that doesn't mean that there's not struggles, and because there's always the struggles and different things, but just to be able to get back to that, I think is going to be tremendous. And I think people are really going to appreciate that time that they have with each other, whereas maybe before people took it for granted.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and the struggles, things you talk about, that's team building. That's what, and I would think too, it makes it, and especially at the level at which you're coaching now, because let's face it, your players, this is a big transitional period in their lives anyway, whether they were playing football or not. It's that time where many of these students are doing that transition from high school to college to from being under the parents' thumb to being more independent and being adults now, and that's a huge transition in life for anyone. And then when you throw football on that too, that kind of so in essence, I would think that moment of life for the students that you're working with, the team concept is that much more valuable, because I think they're coming into a new environment. And their family is going to be that football team now, because let's face it, the football players, they go to school, they go to classes, they do everything, but ideally that's their circle of friends. That's the group that they're with. They're with their team. So outside of team activities, they're probably socializing and hanging out together. So all of that is part of making a good football team too, and that's the part that now you get to do again too a little bit. So I think that's, and I'm sure you would kind of concur on this, Coach. I think that aspect of it is what makes the team a better, almost as much as if you were sitting out there, doing all the drills on the planet with the team. That impact can be equal or greater sometimes.
Well, when we talk about this is, when we have our first team meeting, and we've been having Zoom calls and those type things, but there's really two things with it. One, and this is probably obviously why I'm a football coach, but I think football is the greatest team sport on earth.
Yeah. Because
again, there's one football and there's 11 players on one side of the ball, and everyone has to work together in order for the team to have success. And you truly learn that, and it carries on to the rest of your life, because there's times where you're going to be in an organization or a business, or you have a certain role, and you might not be the star quarterback, or you might not be the star employee, but you need to do your role and help people so that everyone has success. And probably the biggest thing for us as a team is that, this team coming up in Eastern New Mexico football will be the 84th team in school history.
Wow.
And everything that we do, that we talk about as our team, is that it comes from the Navy SEALs, but we talk about abandoned self, embrace team. And I think in today's, with team success and with all of our players, if we truly want to be able to achieve the things that we want as a program and help the university and those type things, our kids truly just understanding that you are going to be so much better off if you put away your personal agenda and you put away those personal desires, and if you're being asked to do something for the betterment of the team, your experience is going to be so greater, because when we have kids come back as Eastern alumni that played football here at Eastern and 15, 20 years, I really don't think they're going to talk about the who was the All-American, or who was this, or who was this award.
Sure.
I truly think that they're going to talk about Man, you remember when we were on that bus trip and Coach Hiatt and Coach Hiatt did this crazy thing, and they're going to talk about their experiences. They're going to talk about when so and so went to someone's house over Christmas break, and they're going to talk about all the different things that college kids do. But they're going to go about those experiences, and I think that's really what we're trying to do here at Eastern. I think has been done here for a while with Coach Lynn and Coach Lee. It's just those experiences with the team are bigger than any one individual.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what makes the better football club too. And to be honest, all of that's going to be happening here next week. That's at the end of the day, yes, training camp. The whole point is to get the team ready for the season. But the biggest part of that isn't always the X's and O's and what you do on the field. It's the camaraderie and those moments you're talking about that happen in the locker room or after practice or whenever. That's the team building. That's the character building. That's the side of things that creates on game day. That when the man next to you is your ride or die, and you're going to fight for that person. You create those bonds in the practice field, in the dorms, in the locker room. That's where all that happens.
Yeah, and we were talking about this earlier this week, Mike. But you look at the NFL and in all 32 teams, people might not believe this, but they all have talented players.
Yeah, exactly.
all of those guys are really fast and strong and good at what they do. But I think the Cleveland Browns are a great example of Coach Stefanski when he got hired there, and Cleveland made the playoffs for the first time in like 17, 18 years, and everything else. It was to win a playoff game. They had talented players there beforehand, but the team, the organization, everything that we're touching on, it's amazing to see how those things are truly going to carry over to help you have the type of success and those experiences as a team. And you're right. Like next Thursday when we report, we're going to be taking 120, 115 individuals, football players, and especially football players. And I'll be the first one to admit this. You have some really good players that have egos. And you've got to be able to manage those personalities and those egos and type things, and you've got to galvanize it. And the teams that are able to do that the quickest and build that team usually end up having a pretty good fall.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got to take those egos and turn them into leaders and all that good stuff. And that work happens starting next week. That's when that happens. Yes. And to be honest, that's the beauty. That's the magic of football. That obviously you play the games and we remember the championships and the big playoff wins and the big football wins, but the real stuff is happening or will be happening here next week when all this training camp goes down, and that's where the team is built, and that's the part that's the fun part of football, because by the end of this training camp and the end of the season, there's going to be teammates and things that are probably going to have connections that will last long after their playing days are over, which is pretty cool. So,
yes.
Yeah, definitely. Good deal. So for next week here, is there any aspect of training camp that will be public, like scrimmages or anything you think, or is that all still up in the air, or is it still tightly locked down with all the COVID stuff?
No, so we actually, and I was talking with Coach Weir about this.
Yeah.
We were actually going to set it up where we are going to have 2 open scrimmages for people to come watch and everything here in Greyhound Stadium. The dates that we're looking for right now are Saturday, August 21st, and then Thursday night, August 26th.
Okay.
And that will be open to the public and people to come watch. And I guess I've always been one of those coaches, is especially in football nowadays, nothing's a secret.
Right, that's true. They've got tape on everything.
Yeah, we got tape on everything, and people figure it out, those type things. And probably the biggest thing for our coaching staff and our program is that we really want to embrace the region. Obviously, Portales and Clovis and the surrounding area, but the region that we're in, there's a lot of people that love football. There's a lot of people that really want to support us, and anything that we can do to really embrace them and help them be a part of the program, and to not only watch the scrimmages, but then come down and see players on the team, whatever else. We want to make sure that we have that open door policy, because I firmly believe for us to be successful, we need everyone's help, not only in this area, but I think in the region of Eastern New Mexico.
Absolutely. It's, you hear the adage, takes a village and all that, but you're absolutely right. There's no one entity that can do it all together here. Hey, I was curious, you were talking about the got tape and everything. For folks that don't know, high school coaches and things, they have a program. I think it's called Huddle, and that's like a kind of a videotape exchange where coaches can do all that. That's kind of a gentlemanly thing. Is there anything at your level like that, or is that like, oh no, you got to get your own tape on your own. That's your problem, not mine. I mean, is there any of that kind of stuff going on at your level?
We do. So So no, we actually use the same program. So okay. Huddle came around. It might not even be 10 years old, Mike, but Huddle, it was amazing when that came about.
Yeah.
Because it's all cloud-based, and with the data and the storage and being able to share film. And, when I first cut my teeth in coaching, I still remember doing and I'm not even that old, but like the DVDs, you'd have a tower in the film room.
Yeah.
And coaches would have to take it from the camera to put it and overwrite things on a DVD, and then you take that one DVD, and you had to make sure that everything was right, because then you put it in the tower, and then you would copy all the DVDs and get it to coaches, and no, but we use Huddle, and in our conference, we have mandated, like, where we share X amount of games and those type of things, and even with Central Washington, I'm sure that there will be some type of film exchange and those type of things. So no, we definitely share film with each other and go through it, because like I said, there's really no secrets anymore.
This is true.
With what people are doing and everything. And part of that too is, as coaches, I really think coaching is such a unique profession, because, 364 days out of the year, coaches are going to do everything they can in their power to take care of other coaches, because
Sure.
It's such a tight fraternity and everything. But then there is that one day when you're playing the other team where you want nothing more than to beat them. So I think coaches, for the most part, everyone's competitive, want to get an advantage. But when
Sure.
it comes to film exchanges, I think probably the very same. Like, I've talked to a lot of high school coaches in the region. They want to make sure to have the film shared and everything to help, in preparation for their team. Because ultimately, I think with football, we want it to be something where everyone in the community can come and enjoy a great game.
Yeah, absolutely. Although, and let's be honest, yeah, like you said, anybody can get access to stuff, and let's face it, they're looking at the film, looking for players and tendencies, and like, okay, he lowers his shoulder here, we can exploit that kind of thing. Well, guess what? The other coaches see that too, and they're doing the same things to try to correct that. So, in the movies and TV, you watch them like, we found their secret. There's a hitch in his giddy up here, and we can exploit that. And that works great for a Hollywood story, but that it's a little more. Everybody knows it. It's just a matter of, can we get the player to correct it, and that's so it's not like you just discovered like the Holy Grail or something out of there. That's not really how it really works,
No, you're exactly right, because even, and we've talked about this, like at the college level, we all recruit and try and get the players that we want in our program, but just because you can go out and recruit them doesn't mean you get every single player you want.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
exactly.
And we talk as coaches. That's why they put a C on our chest. That's why they call us coach.
That's right. That's why you make the big bucks, right, Coach?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, good deal. Well, Coach, I don't want to keep here. Is there anything you definitely want to get the word out about that we just kind of skipped over for whatever reason?
No, I think the biggest ones, Mike, are, we're going to scrimmage on Saturday, August 21st, and we will have a time lockdown here the next week for if people want to be able to come to that. And then we are going to do a scrimmage on Thursday evening of August 26th. That will be 1 week exactly from when we host Central Washington. And,
nice.
And we play Central Washington on September 2nd, kickoff at 6 p.m.
That's right. Can you get tickets yet, or is that going to be something you get at the gate, or can you get like season tickets and stuff now online, or is that at the gate kind of thing?
So as of right now, everything's at the gate, but I know that is something in the works, so people can go online, purchase tickets, and And I will tell you that we would love to have as many people as possible at the game come September 2nd.
Yeah, let's fill that stadium. It's a beautiful stadium, and let's face it, we're all anxious for actual sports in front of us and live, and Saturdays just spending out there watching football. We're all ready for some of that. So come on out. Maybe that's it. Come at me. Maybe you're looking for a new team to embrace every
That's
Saturday.
right.
That's the great. Now you get to see the local. It's just come out. It's fun. Football game, man. Everybody's had fun and. Yeah, and that's what it's all about. Coming out there supporting these athletes, and then nice Saturday afternoon or evening, or depending on game times on those. But it'll be great. So come support, and obviously we'll talk to Coach more here, and we'll gently remind you when these other dates get closer up to the
That's right.
events here. So awesome. Well, Coach, appreciate the conversation. Have an awesome weekend, and good luck next week, and have some fun.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it, Mike. Thank you.
All right. Take care, sir. Bye-bye. All right. That was Coach Ty Hotland, head coach of your Eastern New Mexico University Portales Greyhounds. They're getting started for training camp there. Big thank you to him there. They got a lot going on over there with the new ADs, new coaches. They're making things happen. It is 9:40.